Bonjour YouTube, bonjour Twitch. Alors, je ne connais pas ce jeu, je l'ai juste vu très peu, si c'est ce jeu que je pense.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Ah bah ça.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Bon, en gros Stanley il fait un boulot un peu chiant. Et du coup ben... Alors... Il y a quelques câbles ici, bon bah... Il y a le tailleur de crayon, il y a... Oh, une petite tasse. Il n'y a pas des... Voilà, c'est beaucoup mieux comme ça. Ah, j'aime bien l'ambiance de ce jeu. C'est fermé.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
J'avais sur le bouton. Ah là, il y a la place du tailleur de crayon. Donc ouais, j'ai vu le stream de Magla. Enfin, j'ai vu une partie du stream de Magla où il jouait. Et quand même bien ce jeu, genre...
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
C'est bien ça quand même comme... Oh mon dieu, une tasse de café. Oh, on fait des travaux ici, ok. Faudrait que peut-être un truc... On va faire ça, tiens, on va faire ça. On va mettre un petit texte. Merde. Est-ce qu'il n'y a pas un truc directement? Étiquette de stream. On va juste mettre un texte. Texte. Alors. Quoi? Je crois pas. Je... C'est ouais, c'est The Stanley Parable, hein, d'accord. Stanley, comment s'écrit Stanley? Ah quoi? Quoi? Oui, Stanley. Parable. Parable. Et en police, on va mettre... Non, peut-être pas mettre ça, on va mettre... Ah, c'est pas mal ça. Ça, juste au-dessus de la caméra. Si j'y arrive. Voilà, voilà. Comme ça, il n'y a pas de... C'est quoi le jeu? Je venais d'où?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Eh ben, on ira.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
J'aime bien faire à l'inverse de ce qu'on me dit.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Ouais.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
Ah là là.
Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Bah, bon, on va peut-être... On va... Est-ce qu'on suit la... Alors, est-ce qu'on suit la voie? On va faire un truc. Est-ce qu'on suit la voie qui lui demande d'aller à gauche et de là? Ou alors est-ce qu'on suit...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Suis la voie. Bon.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he
Après...
entered the door on his left.
Bon,
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Bah ouais, j'ai plus envie de descendre. En fait, on va pas suivre. De toute façon, je pourrais toujours le refaire. Bah en fait, on va monter. D'accord qu'il y a l'air d'avoir l'extérieur.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense.
En fait, c'est le
And as
week-end.
Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice
Juste, ouais, j'avais juste un petit truc qui me stresse. Voilà.
describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Ah. Je parle pas trop parce que du coup la voix parle beaucoup, donc là.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Oh.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Alors, est-ce qu'on va retourner sur le début du jeu et est-ce qu'on va devoir refaire des choix? Parce que là, j'ai l'impression qu'on n'a pas... Voilà. On va explorer toutes les possibilités, donc bon, là... On a fait une des premières fins. Donc, let's go.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Bon, trop tard. On va faire la première fin. Enfin, on a fait une première fin, donc la mauvaise fin, je pense. Là, on va suivre tout ce qu'il dit.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Il y a des portes là. Je vais voir toutes les portes là. Executive bathroom. D'accord. Bon, ça change totalement d'ambiance. Il n'y a plus qu'un seul néon qui marche là, messieurs. Va falloir...
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct.
Ce qui est bien, c'est que je m'en souvenais.
Ta gueule. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ce qui est bien, c'est que je me souvenais pas de la combinaison et du coup, j'ai juste répété en anglais dans ma tête. Voilà. Superliminal, c'est un jeu que je vais faire. Ça, c'est sûr et certain. Juste que j'ai pas encore... je sais pas encore quand le faire et si je vais le faire... Ouais, de toute façon, j'ai tout le temps.
Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Quoi, superliminal, je vais le faire.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Bon, du coup, alors... ouais, alors on a...
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Non, mais Stanley Parable, c'est assez court.
Here
En
was the
fait.
proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's
Ah,
only
mais je viens
so
de comprendre.
much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly
Il y a trop de-
realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley,
C'est vraiment bien ce jeu, je
you're in
trouve.
for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life.
Plus que 3 secondes avant la prochaine fin.
Until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Voilà. Fin. Les... Alors, bon, c'est bon, on a fait cette fin-là. On va aller dans le truc escape, comme ils avaient dit.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Non, attendez, avant, on va faire la fin qui demande.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an coming to a staircase. Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Du coup, on va déjà couper les machines, on va voir ce que ça donne. Bah super, je crois que c'est fait par les mêmes, mais Super Liminal, oui, je vais y jouer parce que c'est le même style de jeu et j'aime bien ce style de jeu indé. Et reposant en stream. Après...
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Twitch, il regarde tous les streams comme ça. Genre, il y a un mec qui est en mode est-ce qu'il fait pas des conneries? C'est une blague, évidemment.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers.
C'est le 427, Stanley.
So many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Oh, il y a une... Non, j'ai... Je cherche un petit truc spécial là.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible.
C'est le 427.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time?
Voilà, il est là-bas.
Was this the only
Je pense qu'il doit aller au milieu de la...
boring job, that his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
On
It
dirait
was
pas Portal.
unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again.
Ah, mais c'est bon, c'était simple. Et voilà. Non, non, les crédits, c'est la vraie fin du jeu, je crois.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Non.
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
T'inquiète pas, Stanley, on va...
As sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Oh, c'est mignon. Beat the game. Ok, on avait un achievement unlocked. Du coup, il nous reste... donc c'est bien le 427, j'avais raison. Et il nous
All his
reste...
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Bah,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
donc on va continuer
he
par...
entered the door on his left.
Voilà, d'accord. On fait le truc escape qui est marqué. Et après on...
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On va sauter dans ce jeu, ça me stresse. En gros, c'est une infinite loop.
The moment
Ouais.
he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone?
2,
This
4...
was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious
2,
and
8,
so
4,
random
5,
that
2,
no
8,
man could ever
4,
hope to
5...
guess it. 2-8. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Oh putain.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Donc là on est d'accord qu'il n'y a pas d'autres... Ah, il y avait peut-être un moyen de sortir.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Bon, bah, c'était pas la bonne effet, on dirait. Ah si, ça continue.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
En train de lire un petit peu. Alors... Ouais. Ok. C'est quoi la combinaison? C'était... Ah non, il n'y a pas. Ok. Qui est pas là. Je fais toutes les trucs, on dirait un petit peu... Bah, on dirait un petit peu une coupole. En même temps, c'est ce que c'est, une coupole. Hein. Ouais, hein. Alors, Boss's Office, d'accord, yes. Office Clock, très bien. J'aime pas les jeux comme ça où il y a 90 sorties en fait. 90 moyens de passer. Hein. Ok. Ok. Ça c'est le narrateur qui a enregistré sur 3 ans de développement le jeu. Enfin le jeu, je veux dire, les voix du jeu. t'as compris quoi. Ça c'est un petit peu le... Bah, je pense que c'est la happy end du truc. Ok, yes. Bon, on va pas tout voir parce que c'est juste des trucs genre... En fait non, ça va même endroit. 427, 427... Ah d'accord, c'est vraiment tous ces bureaux. Mais il y a des différences là, genre... Oui, il y en a qui ont... Ah oui, oui, c'est une des différences. Ça c'est 2013, 2012 et 2011. Ok, bah en fait c'est que ce jeu est vieux, enfin vieux, genre ça fait longtemps qu'il est en développement. Du coup, c'est cool de mettre des petits trucs comme ça dans les jeux, genre j'aimerais bien qu'il y ait des...
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you
Ok.
see?
Oh
Can you see
putain de
how
merde.
much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop. Now will be your only
pas de
true
bouton quitter.
choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let time.
Ok, bon bah c'était une des fins du jeu. Bah je vais pas faire toutes les fins parce que j'ai l'impression qu'il y en a un peu plus que ce que je pensais. Bah, je vais faire de l'autre côté de la porte, hein, parce qu'on l'a commencé tout à l'heure, donc ce serait bien de le faire. Recommencer à nouveau. Yes. Bah, écoute. Ah, j'ai l'impression qu'il y a de l'évolution.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
Je pense que c'est des lignes de dialogue, ça. Oui, j'ai des achievements, you can't jump.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Bah, non, on va déjà aller là, parce que c'est...
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Du coup, on va aller dans l'ascenseur, parce que j'ai l'impression que ça remène... C'est un lot dingue.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. this isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Bon. Ok.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ou ma théorie que c'était le week-end, bah... Voilà.
When Stanley... Wait.
Quoi?
Wait. What? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Voilà, je vais faire un AVC là, si ça continue. Alors, non, mais alors, putain de merde. Il y a trop de portes. Genre, il y en a là-bas. On va continuer par là, d'accord? Hein? Et... Quoi? Attends, mais il y a trop... Oh, mais non, mais c'est pas vrai, mais c'est pas possible, mais ce qui a base...
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on.
Bon, on va revenir sur nos parents, on va...
There definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
Attends, mais je sais plus où je suis.
I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh là là, je vais... Bon, là, non mais alors là, vous me faites pas de... Hein?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Cerveau left the game.
Decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Il y a une porte là en fait. Pas du tout. Ce jeu va me rendre taré. Alors, du coup, là. Là, il y a une porte qui s'ouvre. Non.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Mais...
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Ok.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line.
Quoi?
Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Oh, mais... Je sais plus. Là, il y a trop de. Oui, 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 exact. Alors, du coup, non, je suis. Non, 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 je veux pas suivre ça. Bon, je vais suivre ça. Si, allez, go. Je parie à 99%.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Oh là là là.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ah, mon micro qui se casse la gueule. Bah, je crois qu'on peut take a screen, genre. Allô, vous m'entendez toujours? Vous m'entendez-vous? Mon micro vient de se casser la binette. Alors, du coup, je disais. Bon, bah, alors que c'est bon, on a pris un screen. Ça va, il parle plus, le machin.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Bah merde alors.
Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
On va suivre l'original game, machin chouette, truc muche chose là.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious.
Ah là, c'est ce que je fais depuis tout à l'heure, mais bon.
This all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Parce que c'est pas la bonne.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be?
Ah bah...
Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Mais va où la ligne? R par là, d'accord, très bien. Ah!
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Oh putain, mais merde. Non.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do happen to have a...
Oh putain, j'ai eu peur, mais... Là, ça... Dites-moi ça.
All his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
À la fin de ce live, j'aurais plus de cerveau. Hein. C'est genre à la base, je voulais jouer à Adibou.
Stanley came to a set of two.
Alors,
this was
gauche.
the correct way to the meeting room.
Bon,
And Stanley
ta
knew
mère.
perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Là, c'était le début où on devait aller.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Alors,
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you.
On peut descendre en bas, bon.
There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
On va
Someone
descendre.
you forgot. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
Ça, c'est un B, là.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Oh, on
Now,
te
listen
porte.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
J'en ai marre. J'en ai marre parce que... À chaque fois... Couleur, on va traverser la porte bleue parce que putain...
Perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked
la-
through the
la-
red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly.
Bon, bah...
Stanley walked through the red... Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me.
Ça va.
Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I just I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
Est-ce que...
And I think
Oui.
I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Ouais, il fait tout noir là-dedans. Sauf que si on tourne assez, on aura... Bon, ça y est, je passe là-dedans, parce que... Ça restart.
What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy. No, wait. Where are you going?
Fallait pas laisser la porte ouverte.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Allez!
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Ah, elle est belle. Ouais.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Oui, je sais, mais là... Ouais, ok. Non mais j'ai vu que les petits bouts du gameplay de Stanley Parable, hein. J'ai pas vu le jeu en entier. Hein. Je connais, à vrai dire, je connaissais le jeu que de nom. Et j'ai vu le trailer et je me suis dit, wow, ça serait cool de le faire en live. Du coup, bah je l'ai pris. Bon, c'est pas que c'est chiant, mais...
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Mais c'est pas le problème de...
No, no, what are you doing, Stanley? Please.
Oui, mais
I'm
on va
asking
pas
you
rester
not
là
to
pendant
take
des
this
heures,
away
monsieur.
from me. Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Là, ça s'ouvre? Non, ça s'ouvre. Stanley, tu sautes.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Bon là, est-ce qu'on va mourir? Si on meurt pas, je reviens dans l'autre salle.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Bon! Ah y est, c'est fini? Non, c'est pas fini.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Stanley retourne donc dans son bureau.
No, no, the orders were still missing. For now.
On va cliquer sur la touche.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes. Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others, wherever they were. Just a matter of time. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Allez, on fait la dernière, après j'arrête. J'espère que c'est la dernière par contre.
Just to admire it.
Parce que bordel à cul, si c'est pas fini.
Stanley, for the first, but eager to get back to business.
Bla 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 bla, je pourrais te speedrun ce jeu, moi je le connais par cœur, tu me demandes c'est quelle porte qu'il faut traverser, moi je dis c'est celle de gauche.
Stanley was so bad at following.
Tralala.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
J'ai envie de sauter pour savoir ce qu'il y a là, mais...
I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Voilà, t'as attendu. C'est la parole. Ah. Oui, hello.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
J'aurais pu ne pas le décrocher aussi.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Eh ben non, je suis anarchiste. Appuyez sur la touche E.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Appuyez sur 3 pour regarder la télé.
And so he began to
Oh non,
fantasize
la
about his
télé,
own job.
elle a disparu.
First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Pardon, j'ai touché sur la souris. Appuyez sur P pour passer du temps avec les enfants.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Appuyez sur U pour préparer le dîner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
C'est parfait ça, vraiment, c'est ce qu'il nous faut. Appuyez sur R pour vous coucher.
I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he
Ça va
can
s'arrêter
never
un
be
jour, ça?
anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to
D'accord, je
push
fais
a
pas.
button, do not do it.
D'accord, je fais pas. Ça peut durer des heures comme ça. Et je vous avais un truc, je pense que je vais devenir fou à force dans ce jeu. Et que on va faire ce qu'il nous demande de faire. Et après, on s'arrêtera. Et on jouera à Tipou. Ou à Minecraft, ou à Fortnite, ou à ce que tu veux. Mais arrêtez ce jeu. D'accord? Donc on va gentiment appuyer sur le bouton jeu du Stream Deck et appuyer sur M.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Ah pff. Genre vraiment ce jeu est trop bien. Je vous conseille d'y jouer. En plus il est gratuit sur l'Epic Game Store, donc jouez-y. Mais bordel! Ce qui me retourne le cerveau. J'adore ces jeux-là. Et j'ai hâte de jouer à Superliminal du coup, mais alors... C'est putain.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again.
Veuillez mourir.
Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Oh non! Je suis décédé. C'est vraiment malheureux. C'est dommage. Pourtant j'aimais bien ma vie. Ma vie est appuyée sur des boutons et ça s'arrête jamais. Oh bah ça va continuer. Bien c'est que j'ai envie de continuer. Donc
Was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
je sais pas en fait si on retourne dans les anciennes salles, si du coup on a les... Bah, en fait on a les mêmes trucs. Du coup on va continuer tout droit.
Butterflies in his stomach, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Non non on va continuer tout droit. On va continuer.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the
Moi j'ai envie de
right
sauter
foot
là
here.
quand même, genre
I'm not
les
sure
cartons
if
ils ont l'air
we
d'être
are
mous.
or not. I realize that
Non, je change
investing
pas.
your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is
On prend le
that the
carton qui est là et on
story
s'envole
has
comme
been
ça.
about nothing but you all this time.
Allez, trop vieux.
There's someone
Voilà.
you've been neglecting, Stanley.
Arrête.
Someone
Hein?
you've forgotten.
Bon, j'ai toussé.
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is
Ouais.
it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
On va pas décrocher.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you could... Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ok. Ah, oula.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
C'est quoi si je les retourne par là? Non, c'est pas.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Mince, c'est vrai qu'on peut pas sauter. Donc, on va faire un truc. Enfin, je vais essayer de faire un truc. Je vais aller dans la salle principale, enfin la salle des écrans, la machine. Et je vais.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Ok, bon, on va prendre la porte de
Now
gauche.
remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might
Je sais même
find
pas
an
ce que c'est
answer
comme
there.
bureau. Hein. Placard à balai fermé.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall. I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please
Allô, allô?
speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not gonna do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for
c'est
you
juste que
to
ça marche pas, en
suddenly
fait.
decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. Behave exactly as Stanley would.
Bon.
That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead.
1h30 qu'on stream.
All right. When Stanley
Ta
came
gueule. J'en ai un peu marre, j'avoue. On va s'arrêter là pour ce live sur The Stanley Parable. C'est trop bien ce jeu, j'adore. Mais ça fait trop longtemps que j'y suis. Donc, il y aura un prochain live bientôt. Même demain, je pense, du coup. Et on continuera le jeu. Pour la rediff, bonne journée. Pour le stream, on verra. Suivant si Adibou marche, on verra. On reteste Adibou. Et puis si ça marche pas, ben, au revoir.